Hello, I'm just going to take a quick moment and I'm going to go through a week 1 lab assignment in applied spreadsheets, and I'm going to make a few corrections. I'm looking in row 1, and the one thing you want to do is merge the cells. Let me give you 4 examples. If I took one of the cells, also I need to merge the cells in row 2. Example content. When I click off of that, you can see that the cells, they're not merged. If I select this entire row, row 2, and on the ribbon I find the merged cells, we can see that the cells are now merged into one. I'll put back in my original data here. And then I'll center that. I need to do the same thing in row 1, or in the ribbon. I need to merge the cell, and then I'll center align that. So that's the first quick cleanup. I see nicely that this does have heading style 3 apply, which is terrific. The next thing is I see that I have rows that are blue and white, which is a nice way to format a table, but I want to make sure I follow the directions on this assignment. So what I'm doing is I'm selecting all the cells starting in column A here in row 5, and I'm going to drag my mouse out and I'm going to select all of these columns. Columns A, B, C, D, E, and F in rows 5 through 11. For formatting, this is where I want to find the 20% accent. When I select that, you can see then it's all a solid blue. The next thing is I'm going to look at the total column here, or the total row. And when I highlight that row, I need to make sure that again I use formatting, and I want to use the total style. So when I select the total style, you'll see it gives me just little lines. Let me actually zoom in on that. And it gives me little lines and it just formats it a little more aesthetically pleasing. When I look at the functions for each one of the columns, I see that we've used in this example the average function. I need to remove that function. We're not looking to use the average function, but what we're looking to use is the sum function. So what I need to do is clear that cell out, and I want to select column B, row 5 through 11. On the ribbon, I'm going to look for the Formulas tab. For the auto sum, I'm simply going to sum, not average. Now when I look at that particular cell, you can see my function here is the sum function. When I look at the next column, again, column C, I have the average function. I need to clear that out. Again, I'm going to select column C, rows 5 through 11. From the Formulas tab, I'll use the sum function. So I want to correct that for all of the remaining columns. The same thing for the row totals. I need to clear that function out and not use the average function. But instead, when I select these cells, I want to select the sum function. I'm selecting the sum function because I'm looking to add up all of package A, B, C, and D for the whole state of Florida. So this gives me the total of the 4 packages for the state of Florida. In this example, I'm not looking for the averages. It could work for certain criteria that's needed, just not in this particular example. Again, I'll clear the function out and I'm going to apply the sum function. So all of that needs to have correction. We're going to quickly look at the tabs. Here I have sheet 1, sheet 2, sheet 3. On sheet 1, if I double click, you can see how that text becomes highlighted in blue. It allows me now to actually name and type any name that I want on that tab. When I right click on the tab, you'll see tab color. I can select a tab color that will work for this particular spreadsheet. In some examples, I've actually created different tab colors for the different pages in a spreadsheet so that for me, it sort of broke things out and color coded it nicely. Now we want to look at the chart. In this particular example, this chart doesn't have any data in it. So simply what I want to do in this example is I just see it's a blank chart, so I'm going to select it when I see my four-way arrows with my cursor, and I'll simply hit the backspace or delete key on my keyboard. So let's try the chart again. What I want to do is I'm going to select, starting in column A in row 5, and I'm going to select all the data here. Once I select the data range that I'm looking to chart, up on the ribbon, I'm going to look for the Charts tab. There are many different charting options. One of them is the pie chart, and we have different pies that we can select from. There's a 3D pie and a 3D exploded pie. I like the 3D exploded pie, but let's just use that as an example. Once I have my chart in, up in the ribbon, there's various different chart styles that I can apply. What you select, well, it depends on the data that you have. It depends on what makes it very easy for you to read, what works to convey that data. In some examples, this may not be enough detail for me to really know the specific number range, so I may need to find a different style. Now I can see what each piece of this pie, what the numeric or percentage value is, and the color coding for the state. Again, you need to explore the different options and see what's going to work for your data and whom is the reader analyzing and interpreting that data. Where it says chart title, I can select that with my cursor and simply give this any name. You want to always make sure that you do put a name on and don't leave it as the generic chart title so that you're showing attention to detail. When I have my cursor selected on this chart, when I see the four-way arrows with my cursor, I can move the chart. If I don't see the four-way arrows, I can't move the chart. If I look and put my cursor in one of the corners of the chart, my cursor changes to a two-way arrow, which allows me to expand and enlarge the chart. I'm going to look again and click right on the border, on the frame of my chart. My cursor has the four-way arrows. I'm going to right-click, and here I see Move Chart. I'm going to move chart, and I can move it to a new sheet or to one of my existing sheets. Remember earlier I made Chart Example tab? I'll click on the pull down arrow and I'll select Chart Example. Select OK, and my chart has just moved to the Chart Example tab. I can now move and size my chart accordingly. When I click back on the Yearly Sales tab, that's where my data is. Chart Example is where I've moved the chart to. I hope this video helps you in making some of those adjustments and tweaks.